No other sportsman in the world is watched more closely than Mike Tyson. We revel in his astonishing wins, and we revel equally in his personal losses. Amid the controversy and the string of emotional setbacks throughout his boxing career, Mike Tyson has carved a steady and relentless path to the top of his beloved sport. Courage, cold calculation and sheer determination appear to be the trademarks of this unique champion. And on the eve of his possible crowning as undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, all eyes focus upon the man who would be king. Mike, at the age of 20, you became the youngest heavyweight in history. How did that make you feel?
Well, it was a lifelong dream, and I was happy to accomplish it. I was just wish that Customato was there to witness it with me, because we worked so hard together to accomplish that goal, and he wasn't there. So it really took a lot out of me. It didn't mean as much to me as it would if he was alive.
Is Cuss the missing link in your life at the moment?
I don't know if I say missing link. I'm just, he was just a very close entity to me. He was very close. He was very close to me, and we set out a lot of dreams together. You know, we talked in the middle of nights. Many times we talked about what we were going to do and who would be. I can remember being 15. He talked to me about how I was going to knock Larry Holmes out. Larry Holmes was a champion, and he talked to me about how we were going to knock Holmes out. And he used to always try to get me to go down there and spar with Larry Holmes. See, I didn't believe in it, but he had so much confidence in me. I didn't believe I could go in the gym and probably knock Holmes down and knock him out and get that $100,000. At the time, he was paying people $100,000 for knock him out. And I was only 15, but he said, you got to have the confidence and belief. If you could believe it, you can do it. He said, you could punch hard enough, you could do it, but you got to believe it. And he always told me, he said, if you believed it, and you had the confidence, I'll let you fight for the title right now. At 15, he said, I'll let you fight right, only because you have all the tools, but if you believed it in your heart, I will let you fight tomorrow for the title.
You had the ingredients, but at 15, did you believe you could do it?
I thought he was totally out of his mind. But I realized that it's not the age of a child, you know what I mean, that makes him a man. It's his actions that makes him a man. And if he believes, he can accomplish it.
And if accomplishment could be personified, Mike Tyson would be among the top prime candidates. Before he was 20, he had won 20 professional bouts, 19 of those by knockout. In 12 of those wins, he was bidding his fans goodnight before the completion of round 1. On November the 22nd, 1986, Tyson won the WBC heavyweight title in Las Vegas, stealing the belt from Trevor Berbick by TKO in just round 2. It appeared to set the pace for Tyson over the following 2 years, as winning and retaining titles became the norm for the street kid from Brooklyn. Well, Mike, then at 22 years of age, 2 years after you won the title, they were already comparing you to the legends of the sport. How did that make you feel?
You know, I mean, I try not to get involved with that, because you can't compare no guy that's only 22 years old to these guys. These guys have been fighting long. These guys have been experienced fighters. And guys nowadays, we're managed fighters. The old-time legendary fighters wasn't managed fighters. They just took them and they just threw them and they were killers. You know what I mean? And the guys, they were great in spite of their manager, the trainers, because they just learned from fighting.
Mike, you're a historian in the sport of boxing. What do you think about the heavyweights 10, 15 years back to the heavyweights of today?
Well, I think Ali, Frazier, they had a very competitive era. Everybody, even Jerry Corey, all those guys, you know what I mean, they're forming, all those guys were capable of just fighting hard. You know what I mean, they fought hard and they're competitive. Nowadays, you know what I mean, these guys are big and they're strong and they're skillful, but a lot of these guys quit, man. They quit, they give up.
But giving up could never be said of Mike Tyson. In his early years, with the guidance of trainer and close friend Customato, Mike's eyes were opened up to the lessons that history can teach. The way to his fighting future lay in the champions and heroes of boxing's past. With a unique training of mind and a spirit together with an already awesome physical capacity, is it any wonder Mike Tyson has climbed the ladder of success 2 rungs at a time? But there's an old saying about success: it only smells sweet when it's your own. Mike, you're often misread by the public and the media. After your last fight, you said for $30 million you weren't paid enough. What do you mean by you weren't paid enough?
I was just having problems, perhaps, with cable people and some slight promoters, Dawn, and Mr. Warren, the gentleman from England. I just really thought I deserved more. I really did, because there was more out there for me to have.
Oh, well, I agree with you. Me being a fighter myself, I know exactly where you're coming from, and that's why I asked you the question, because I'd like the public to know that, you know, why should the promoters earn more than the boxer himself? You're the guy out there taking the risk. And
I agree, and I don't allow that to happen. You know what I mean? When I was younger, like when I was 20, I didn't care, and I'm still very free with money. I like to help people, you know what I mean? That's why I need so much money, because I have so many people to help, you know what I mean? But it's just that I just don't trust people when it comes to money. 'Cause I know what money, from my last experience, I know what money could do with people. I know what money could do with people who are supposed to be good friends of yours.
And if hard times show us who our true friends really are, then Mike can be confident in the ones that have stuck by him during the constant parade of controversy that accompanies fame and fortune. But has the price of notoriety held a valuable prize of its own? A couple of years back you went to jail,
Yeah.
and I know, I believe you shouldn't have been there, and I say that many, many times. Did you learn anything from the 3 years you spent
Well, you
in
know,
jail?
I became more conscious. I became more spiritually conscious, and I realized I understand people much more than I did back then. And it's just we have to just be conscious, you know, I mean, basically of our surroundings and the people involved with our surroundings, because it really is just so bizarre, because we really don't know about people. People, you know, we meet people, we like them or we dislike them, but, you know, everybody always have their agenda or motives, regardless of what it is.
Mike, you're a very private person. Do you feel intimidated by going out into the public?
Not that much, just slightly, sometimes. Slightly, you know, just when there's too many people and they're aggressive. And I mean, I feel like I'm in a position to be set up or something can happen, and I get a little paranoid, but other than that, I feel pretty much.
Well, we just read about your last episode in Chicago, which is now thankfully cleared.
I'm going to tell you something about that, Jeff. No, I don't know who this woman looked like, don't know who she was, never been in her presence, but if she walked in here right now, the only thing I'd probably do is probably give her an autograph and say hi. I wouldn't even know that was her.
Private life aside, and with the media temporarily at bay, the emphasis can now return to the future. But what else, if anything, is left for Mike Tyson to achieve? And have we seen the best of this champion's career already? Do you think you've reached your peak?
I don't know, because, you know, sometimes you think you accomplished something, then something better happens, and then sometimes you think you haven't accomplished and does something. You know, I used to let it put it in God's hands and train hard and let whatever happens, happens.
I read many stories about you. For instance, people thought you were going to have a tough fight against Michael Spinks. Me, from the outside looking in, I thought that was going to be one of your easier fights, and that's how it was. What did you think of Spinks?
I thought it was going to be an easy fight. He wasn't strong enough and didn't punch hard enough to keep me off him.
In your comeback, you fought Buster Mathis, and people said your timing was out. Do you believe that's what it... No.
He's just a difficult, awkward fighter. Everybody that fights him, he gives a hard time because he's awkward, and his head is kind of fast and hard to hit. You know, to be a fat guy, because I think that's his head's around this big, it's so small. His head's around this big, and he moves in, and he's frantic fighting, and so it's difficult to hit him.
Mike, me being another boxer, talking to you, I kind of feel the same way you do. I look at the people who write about boxing today and the people who are supposed to be
never
involved.
tied a pair of gloves on in their life.
And they don't know nothing. That's what's wrong with our sport. I mean, it's such a sport where people can make money, and they treat us like the cattle, like the meat, and when it's time for slaughter, they put you in there to slaughter. But the thing that upsets me more than most is that they don't know what they're talking about. The referees, the judges, they've never been in the ring.
Never know anything. And they become historians. They know nothing. If I was in the ring, they talk about how all the opponents are scared and they're cowards. They never fought before. I told those guys, Larry Merchant, they don't even have to, I won't even hit them. Just come in the ring and I'll walk around them in a circle till they drop dead of a heart attack. Those guys don't know what fear is. They always say, he's scared, this guy's scared and coward.
Of all the words to describe Mike Tyson, coward simply doesn't come to mind. Over the years, he has matched up against some of boxing's toughest opponents, taking the wind from their sails with frightening ease. One could wonder if an opponent with the caliber to stop this raging bull has yet been engineered. If there was one heavyweight out there who you thought you could get a good fight from, who would it be?
I don't know, you know, so crazy about that. You never know, like you being a fighter, you think this guy's gonna be a great fight for you, next thing you know, boom, this guy's, damn man, you ain't nothing. You know what I mean? Then the guy that you don't expect to give you a hell, you say, God, this is a heck of a fight.
Well, what's been your toughest fight, Mike?
I don't know, my toughest fight I ever had, you know what? I probably a guy, when I first started, a guy named Jose Revolta. It was a tough fight. I haven't trained hard for that fight too, but still, it was pretty tough. It was a tough fight.
when I fought on your undercard against Razor Ruddock. You hit him with a lot of big punches. He's a tough man.
Oh, Razor Ruddock?
Razor Ruddock.
He's tough, but you know what I mean, I could take him all day. You know what I mean? It was he's big and strong, but he doesn't know how to fight. Not a skillful fighter. He depends on intimidation and his 1-2 punches, and I'm able to see punches and avoid them, so that was really nothing. I could fight him all day. I'll beat him 100 times. I'll beat him 100 times. Just because of the way he fights. He's so predictable.
So, Mike, your style really, who did you set it on, and what did you and Cuss talk about when you were a youngster? What style? I mean, I know people say you do the peekaboo, you do this, you move the head, but as far as I'm concerned, the only person I've ever seen do everything that you do is Mike Tyson.
Yeah, basically, the style that we have is very simple, but still is complex. You know what I mean? But it's just, its main objective is aggression, pressure. See, people always say pressure is being hit. Pressure is not being hit. Pressure is the thought of being hit, and that's more psychological than anything. You know what I mean? You just can't keep a guy off you. Think he's being. That's just the objection of saying what this punch may feel like when it hits. After being hit, after being knocked out, or whatever situation, it's already happened, and you realize it's not as bad as you anticipated it was.
Mike, I've watched you train many times. If there's one thing that I think that you don't do enough of, and that's train hard all the time. I mean, training, if you thought there was somebody out there that was going to give you a real tough fight, would you train harder than you do today?
I don't know. You know, from training hard for so many years, I guess I earned the title. I don't train as hard. You know, instead of boxing 10 rounds every day, I may box 6. You know what I mean? I normally used to box 10 rounds prepared for it, but now I box 6 the most.
But isn't the famous old saying not to forget the work you've done to get there, and then champions like you and myself seem to forget, and I think it's exactly what happened to you in Tokyo.
Yeah, but
will you suffer the same fate again?
We're only human. Only God knows. I doubt it, but you know, anything's possible.
But they say you should only make the mistake once. If you make it twice.
Well, I made the same mistakes a lot of times. You know, I'm still alive. I've screwed up a lot. I screwed up all my life, but you know, I'm still here.
But if anybody could knock Mike out harder than Buster Douglas in Tokyo, it would have to be his pet Siberian tiger, Kenya.
Hey, baby. You only me.
Last thing from you.
No, come on.
Mike, what made you, do you want to have a tiger for a pet?
A friend of mine, that I knew had exotic animals. And he was telling me when I was incarcerated, he was telling me, Mike, you should get a tiger or something.
That's it. All right, Mike, take him for a walk in there.
Now, open it, you gotta go out.
No, you take him for a walk in there.
Come on, Jeff, now. You should come in and touch him. Jeff, come in and touch him.
Though the claws are clipped and she's still only a cub, this 200-pound moggy gives Mike a good sparring run for his money. So, Mike, why did you call him Kenya?
Huh?
Why did you call her Kenya?
I thought that was a good name.
And why a tiger as a pet?
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. What happens when she puts on another 200 pounds? Then what happens?
That's even more exciting.
Kenya is a permanent guest at Mike's Las Vegas home, and she enjoys all the luxuries of rubbing shoulders with the champ and sharing the spoils of celebrity status. Unbelievable. Get a photo, Reno. Oh, look at her. Unbelievable. She knows she's in Vegas. Mike, do you have any aspirations maybe to fight or to visit Australia?
Sure, I'd love to be involved. I'd love to come down and see you. I'd like to come see Lionel Rose and all the old fighters from down there. What's happening with the other guy? What was his name? Jeff Harding?
Jeff Harding.
Yeah, how's he doing down there?
Jeff's around. Just a big story on him recently that he's has a bit of a drinking problem. Yeah. But apart from that...
We all have our problems, regardless of maybe drinking, women, or whatever it may be. We all have our problems.
Mike, do you remember the day we watched his fight in Atlantic City? Unbelievable. I told you he was going to win.
For him.
And another
thing. Him and that guy became a great series, right?
Remember him, Andre? And wait there, what was your tip on the Chavez De La Hoya fight? What did I tell you?
I don't know.
How was it exactly what I told you? And the debate over winners, losers and favourites went on well into the afternoon. But to cut a long story short, I wanted to know who Mike's favourite boxer of all time was. Who's your favourite fighter of all time? Don't say Jeff Fenech.
So, there's so many great fighters, man. You can't even name. That's hard for me to even say. There's so many of them.
Roberto Duran's mine. What do you think
I love Duran. He started me. I knew a long time ago when I was a boy, and that's funny that you may say that. I was a boy in a home, and Muhammad Ali came to visit this institution for bad kids, and I said, wow, that's exciting. But then, that's like 78, something, 78, 77, but then 3 years had elapsed or something, and I watched Roberto Duran fight Sugar Ray Leonard, and then I said, I want to be a fighter.
Yeah.
So when I saw that fight, I said, I'm going to be a fighter. And it's so ironic. Some kid probably watch you in Australia, and you won't know yet till this kid is good. And he said, I watched Jeff Finnick fight, and I said, I want to be a fighter. And some kid may say, I watched Mike Tyson fight, or he shook your hand and said, I want to be a fighter. And just watching Duran fight and the tension of that in 1980, and I said, I want to be a fighter. I just tripped out, and I started training. I didn't know anything. I had fights in the streets, and I was wild and stuff, but I never dreamt of being no fighter. But just watching that guy, I said, I want to be a fighter. And it just clicked in my head, and it stayed there. And that's what, now I'm here.
And what does Mike think of the heavyweight division in the 90s?
Apart from, I believe that Riddick Bowe is a very, very good heavyweight, but apart from Mike Tyson, the heavyweight division was dead. You knocked out Frank Bruno 7 years ago. You're fighting for the title 7 years later, and they still give him a chance. I mean, that doesn't say much for the heavyweight division at the moment,
Well,
does
not really, but know what's so good about it? The fact that Frank Bruno could stay around all that time and just be able to make some money and, you know what I mean, and just do good things with his life. But, as far as the division, it basically is how these guys maneuver into certain positions. You know what I mean? You could have been beat up, and just a certain guy could just get maneuvered in a position and win the title.
Similar to Bruce Seldon. He's been knocked out by Riddick Bowe and Oliver McCall, and now he's the heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, he won't be there for long. He's lucky that the doctor got worried I caught this little bug, because his reign is going to be over very shortly.
And one of Bruce Seldon, Mike Tyson's record stands alone and must instill fear in the heart of any opponent. In defense of his world title, is Seldon confident of retaining it?
When I'm in this square circle, I know what has to be done. I know when I'm in here and I'm training, I have to train hard. I have to do my homework to get a good grade. So my skills have just come through maturity, watching old fights, watching how the old fighters used to train, and if you have the talent, use the talent. Use the talent to the best of your ability. Thank God Almighty, I've used my talent, I'm using my talent, and I'm the heavyweight champion of the world.
So, do you think that you're going to retire in this comeback undefeated? Will you stop at the top?
Only God knows. We do crazy things, being fighters. We hang around too long, but sometimes, I don't know. I never did anything else but fight. I never had a job. I never done anything but fight. I've been doing this all my life since I was 12 years old.
A final word from Bruce Seldon?
I want to show the world what I can do, what I have, and I want to show the world what Mike Tyson has left, if he has anything at all left.
Do you give him any chance?
Everyone has a chance, but I think he's going to have a hard time.
Have you prepared properly for this fight?
Well, September 7th or 14th, whatever day it be, I will be properly prepared for it.
As the saying goes, there can only be one. The question is, will Mike Tyson be that one? He has the experience, the training, the determination and the might of a champion. But how long can he continue to astonish us with his incredible early round knockouts? And does he need to? One thing is for sure, that on Sunday, September the 8th, another page of sporting history will be written. Whether or not that page closes for Mike Tyson, there is little doubt that the world, and indeed history itself, will ever forget the man we called Iron Mike.
The boy can do everything the champion is required to do. And if he does everything that he's capable of doing, I tell you, he may go down as one of the greatest fighters of all time.